Hi everybody, Eric and Veronica here, and thank you for joining us for another fresh air break. Today we are talking about Alliance, Ohio. This is one of the early stations that we went to, and there's a lot of really cool stuff here, especially on the historical side of things that are interesting that we thought we might want to dive a little bit deeper into. So Veronica, as you were researching Alliance and as we visited it, what stood out to you the most? Like, what was your highlight, I guess?
Yeah, so it was 100% like their historical society and like their living history stuff. So in their downtown, all of their buildings that are like historic, they have like little QR codes that you can just like scan, and then it'll give you the history of the building. So that was like a living history tour that was just like available everywhere.
Yeah, this was the first time we met and kind of got to shoot the breeze with another established YouTuber, right? Mm-hmm. They had their, what was it called? The
Marking Time and Alliance.
Marking Time and Alliance.
So yeah, Jim Perone out there at the Historical Society has his own YouTube channel, and that's how I learned tons of stuff about Alliance in advance. So I did read that book about Alliance, just like the Image of America book that I always read, plus the book on the college. But most of what I learned was from watching Jim Perone's videos, right?
And we'll link to it in the description of this video, so you can go check them out. They go into a lot of detail about a whole lot of things. Learn everything Alliance through them. So.
And then the day we went during the Carnation Festival, so we knew there was going to be events and things going on. But the first house we walked into, I think that was the Haynes house. That was the one where right when you walk in, they had like the board, like one of those, I don't know, slidey stander-upper things. And then it had the QR codes on it. So like you didn't even have to talk to people to like pay. You just scan and just like pay and you're done. If you are social, like some of us, you can talk to them and give them money. And then there were other like artifacts and things to buy and stuff, bookmarks, sticker for your car, whatever. So yeah, the Haynes house was the first one we went in. And that really stood out for me because it's one thing to talk about history, but it's quite another to like see the history where it's the old like 1820s house, and then like the next two rooms are like 1840s, and then the next two rooms are 1860s.
Yeah.
So like you can see them build onto it.
Yeah, not quite as like impressive as some other historic houses that we've been in terms of just the way that it looks and the architecture, but if you just take 5 seconds and pause, you realize that like, oh, hey, these rooms were built decades, or if not centuries apart. So like they just continued to build onto this house. It was really interesting, like getting to see that and kind of understand that it was a living structure, right? It started as a single room and then they added on to it as they got more means and resources and opportunities. So.
Yeah, I think that house, the Haynes house, I remember they were saying like the Grants were like one of 4 families in town.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, I remember you saying that specifically in the video.
So they did talk a little bit about like calling cards and like the buzzers and things like that on the front door, but it was interesting.
Yeah. The Mabel...
It was the Hartzell house.
Mabel Hartzell house was... That one was more like traditional, what I'm used to when you take me to these places, like very well built, well maintained, kind of historic building.
Lots of marble fireplaces.
Yeah, marble fireplaces. I remember like there's 2 or 3 of them in that place.
There was a lot.
Maybe
they even
more.
had one in the kitchen.
Yeah, it was really kind of wild. The stairwell there was
like real bent.
Yeah, something else. And just the plaster work on the stairwell too, how it kind of followed it up was really like, I've never seen anything quite like that before. I've seen that type of thing out of like carved wood, but never like plaster work like that. And that house was full of, whereas the Haynes house was more just like traditional furniture, and they set it up to kind of look like how the house would have been if they were living in it. What's it called again? The Hartzell house had tons of like just kind of historic relics and posters from elections and Civil War, like memorabilia and like even weapons. And like, I remember they had a chain, like a ball and chain there in one place. So that was really interesting. Like you see that stuff in like old Hollywood movies, but it was a real thing and they kind of had one there. all kinds of old like phonographs and instruments and stuff. So.
Well, that's the house that I learned about the red privacy glass.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I
remember
never
that.
knew that. So, like, at the Hartzell house on the front door, they have, like, red glass on both sides. And they explained that they had the red glass because you couldn't see in from outside. So, that was really cool. And then they did have, like, the stairwell, there was, like, a trap door and, like, a... so like they showed us on the second floor there was like a door that they could open and close, and then they would have like the maid who lived in like this back room. It was a tiny little room, and then there was like a trap door in the hallway, and they could go down to the kitchen without going down like the front stairs, those fancy curved stairs. But what was interesting about that family was, to me at least, was that the daughter was adopted. So like they didn't have a child, so they adopted this daughter. And then
a very impressive lady. Like,
yes,
so much of it was focused on her life and telling the story of all the crazy like things that she did. Like not wild, crazy stuff, but just like
she had a very full life.
Yeah, full life. Very impressive, especially for an adopted woman in those times. It was very impressive. So
yeah, so that was cool. And then afterwards, after we went to the Carnation Festival, so again, like I said, they had the 3 houses, the Haynes house, the Hartzell house, and then Glamorgan Castle. And we just ran out of time. We didn't have enough time. Our time there was done. So we left. And then I ended up going back months later with my niece. And we actually went back for Halloween. And that's when we learned that they fancy this place up for Halloween. So they fancy it up for Halloween, and then they also do that for Christmas. And like I said in the video, they have it where you can rent it out and things like that now.
And we did, since you were months later getting back there, you got a lot of additional footage of the interior of the castle we weren't able to include in the original video. So I told Veronica I'll cheat on our fresh air break here and put a little more effort into it and share some of that footage that she got when she was visiting the castle on Halloween. We consider this our Halloween episode.
Well, this was, so for the house, most of it was pretty empty. Like they didn't have like a lot of that historic furniture and things like that. The things that remain that were cool, I really think the visuals are awesome. So like you had that big chandelier, and I asked if they could turn it on, and it like lit up in the dome, not just in the lighting part.
Yeah.
They were trying to keep it spooky for Halloween, and I was like, hey, how about less spooky? And they were like, sure. And so they like turned the lights on for us, which was awesome. And then they had like one of the front entry areas, they had like all kinds of like graveyards and smoke or whatever in there, but you actually got to go out there, and it was like more like a conservatory or, like an indoor outdoor type room. Yeah. And then they had like that library. The library was really awesome. It had all these carvings in it. I think that footage is amazing. And then I think it's called what's it called? Like... It's not a scullery, but it's the basement room that was like the drinking room.
Yeah.
And
I remember you showing me those pictures.
that was awesome too. They had like for Halloween, they had like a gypsy down there or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the house was definitely worth the trip. I'm glad we went back, and I'm glad Eric has included it in this video because it is worth seeing, right?
Yeah.
You should go see this. So yeah. And then I think, the last thing that we should talk about is the college. Like we say it all the time, like when we go places, that like college towns just hit different. Like there's just an energy there. So Alliance is a pretty small town, but because the college is there, there's all kinds of business and shops and stuff nearby it. So while Alliance sort of kept that like downtown historic sort of feel, over by the college, they have improved, I don't want to say improve that area, but that area is more modern than the rest of like the downtown area. Yeah.
Like if I had a magic wand, I would move the college campus about half a mile closer to the historic downtown. Because while the downtown's like right there next to the Amtrak station, and there's a lot of like really kind of quirky, cool little like businesses and things down there, there wasn't a whole lot of activity going on right in the downtown. Most of the activity was surrounding the campus, which is not far. I guess just like a mile or so away from that core downtown area. But yeah, a beautiful college campus. We walked around it like school was out or hadn't yet started, I think, when we were there.
I think it was August, so it might not have started
I don't think,
yet.
yeah. So the campus was pretty empty when we were there, so we kind of had our run of the place, walking around and checking out all the, like a kind of wild mix of really old, historic, like beautiful chapels and, you know, administrative buildings and stuff, and then much more modern, like the engineering school and other things like that were there. And it's all beautifully landscaped with, you know, water and walking paths. Really, really great. And pretty much surrounding it on all four sides are businesses, restaurants, bars, coffee shops. So really cool little place.
Yeah, and like the food didn't disappoint. Like we stopped at 2 different places, and when I went back to the barbecue place again.
Yeah.
So, and I mean,
That's when you know it's okay, is when you go back a second time.
Yeah. So like you know, you can only eat so much food. Like we're only there usually for like a day. But so yeah, we really enjoyed the food, and it was, I think Eric might have mentioned it in his video, it was local. But it was also like a chain, right? Yeah. So it was like, oh, this is one of 5. So that's good as well, because if you want to go to other places nearby, like, oh, you're going into Alliance, but, you know, your family lives in Akron or Kent or wherever, you know, knowing that there might be another franchise nearby is good.
Yeah.
So
I think Alliance gave us our best thumbnail so far on the channel. The crossing there. I mean, you can see it just getting off the train and, you know, viewing it from ground level, and it's impressive, that big rail yard and the way that they cross over one another. But seeing it from the air, when I got the drone out and got that drone footage, was really quite something. And, you know, I think we've gotten a few comments on that video about the drone footage and how impressive it is. And I think the same's true of Glamorgan Castle. This is like after I'd started. I got my new drone.
Yes, after the smashy smash.
After the smashing in Illyria, and much more comfortable flying it. And I think that was the first time I got like what I'll consider passable drone footage.
Yeah, the Illyria stuff. Yeah, the Illyria stuff was kind of jerky. Like I was watching it, and it was kind of like fast, and then like sometimes you speed it up for like the trains and stuff. But yeah, no, the Alliance stuff was amazing. And I think as we do these more, we're really learning that, I mean, you know, growing up, you ride the trains or the subways or things like that, and you're like, oh, this is cool. But since we started this, it's like we're getting more and more appreciation for it.
Yeah, getting more comfortable with all aspects of it. So, you know, don't be scared if you're a fresh train traveler or you've never done it before, to stop at some of these small towns and check out the history. Grab your rail pass from Amtrak and stop in Alliance. Check out the castle and some of these amazing historic museums and homes that they have. And again, we'll pop the Marking Time in Alliance YouTube channel down in the comments if you want to learn more about the history of this town. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We'll see you on the next stop.